All right, so I want to go into just personal experiences because life has been this has been one of the weirdest times in my life. So I'll just briefly go over what happened and then tell you where I'm at now, which is crazy. I have been struggling with like a panic disorder since I was about 18, and it's come and gone through most of my 20s. And then when I turned 30, I went and said, I can't do this anymore. I need help. So I got on Paxil. A lot of people have had bad reactions to Paxil and negative whatever. I have never had a bad reaction on it. I stopped taking it for a while because I couldn't afford it. And it basically took this huge weight off me, and I almost always felt like didn't regress at all. Like I was almost always positive. Like I could drink, I could have fun, I could just live and not worry. And then I stopped taking it because I couldn't afford it. I was out of a job. I got kind of the whole thing that caused my problem was depression. And I everyone gets depressed once in a while. You have a couple days where you're like, man, I don't feel so good. But it just kind of disappears. You get over it. You find something to continue, and then you're back to normal. You're yourself again, right? So I've never had actual real depression, and when I was out of work from November until April, I didn't realize I was stressed because I was worrying about money, and I wasn't on my Paxil, and I was kind of worried. Okay, what's going to happen? Am I going to regress? And then I was fine. Like a couple months went by, and I was like, holy shit, maybe I'm fine. Maybe it was just a period in my life where I needed to, something to get me over the hump, and now I'm fine. And I thought, man, I'm so broke right now. I had a $20 budget for groceries for like a month. Like I really was living on peanut butter sandwiches and spaghetti. Like I had no choice. And just doing what I could to scrape by. And I kept thinking, man, it can't be any worse than this. And I don't ever want to be back to this point. And then of course, I get a job interview at a bank, and I was a call center. I was going to end up making a lot of money. I was going to have a retire. The whole thing would have been awesome. And then I didn't get it, and then I took it really hard. And I should have just said, okay, I didn't get it. That's not the only opportunity out there. And I should have just gotten some beers and got hammered. And because when I drink, I don't dwell on things. I drink and I'm relaxed and I'm happy. I never get depressed. I'm just really it turns off all my worries. And I should have done that, and that would have been great. Instead, I took it really hard. I got depressed. I had started having panic attacks. I had basically a panic attack for 3 days. Stomach shriveled up to nothing. And even I ate an orange that was this big, and I was full. I'm a huge eater. It was unbelievable. I lost like 15 pounds. It was awful. And then after the panic attacks went away, I got back on Paxil, and I still didn't feel good. I still felt like all of a sudden time was irrelevant. And I'm like, have I been here for 33 years on this planet? I looked at my arms and legs, and I was like, is this normal? And is this all, reality stopped making sense to me? And that was the scary part, was when the depression took over, and I didn't even realize I was depressed. And holy shit, it was hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever been through. And just all I could think about, it's not that I was afraid I was going to die, because I know I'm just have this feeling to live for a fucking ultra long time. But all I could think about all day was the clock. Here's how many seconds you have to live. And your life becomes awful at that point. All you can think about is death. All you can think about is death all day. And that's not a life. That's not living. You're here. You have a great amount of time if everything goes right. You have all these great things to live for, all this other stuff. But I was just sitting there counting down the seconds. It was awful. Then I got a job, started working, and all of a sudden work could occupy my time. I wrote a short story about a guy who has a panic disorder. Ends up working because that was the only thing that could get his mind off of panicking, and I became that guy. It was the weirdest thing. I wrote a story and it came true for me. It was the craziest thing. So anyway, I'm at work. I'm fine. I'm like, I'm working. Not so bad. I can focus. I can keep busy. Good. And I'm not afraid of doing my job. Like all the girls in my class all came from another department where they were for 14 years. So now this is a big shock to them. They're all worried. They're all stressed out. They're all freaking out. And they're like, Jamie, why doesn't it bother you? I took my first call, a little bit excited. Yeah. But I'm like, because I have been through the hardest 2 months of my life. For me to sit here and take calls at a call center, I don't care. Nothing bothers me. I don't give two shits. And anyway, I work, and then when I come home, I walk in the door, I do the dishes, I clean up, take care of my cats, do all this other stuff, and then I sit down on my couch, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I just sit here, and I'm like, what do I do? I'm so out of sorts, I don't even know what to do with myself when I'm done working. All of a sudden, I got all this money in the bank, and all this money started coming in, and all I've been really doing is buying some beer, normal groceries, that's it. Like, what do I do with, if somebody gave me $1 million at that point, I would have said, what do I do with this? Like, nothing would have made me happy. There was absolutely nothing I could have done. So, and things kept picking at me, and my panicking came back. Like, everything was kind of jumbled, and I realized that at one point I go to the bathroom and I'm sitting down and I'm taking a pee, because I had a lot of diarrhea and stuff, like stress, it causes all that. So I'm sitting down, I'm peeing on the toilet, and I just put my head in my hands and I said, okay, I'm a broken person. And I said this in my head, what does everything want from me? What do you want from me? What does everything want? Why am I in this situation? And I said, okay, fine. And I just said this out in my head. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry. I don't know who's out there listening. I'm sorry I was born. I'm sorry I ate all this food. I'm sorry if I've inconvenienced anybody. I'm sorry I took up resources. I just apologize for absolutely everything, even things that weren't my fault. I just said, I'm sorry. All of a sudden, this humongous weight that I've had on my chest for 20 years, or, well, not 20 years, probably 13, came off. And this tightness in my gut just disappeared. My heart used to beat really hard all the time. I never knew why. I tried to make it calm down, and it wouldn't. And I don't have a problem with it. I have a very powerful heart. I know, because it moves my body a lot of times. Very strong. My heart rate, it was always way too high. Just smoothed out. Now it's like thump, thump. Very calm, very normal. My body feels like I'm not fighting myself anymore. So anyway, got to that point. And then things still weren't normal. They weren't 100%. Just all the bad stuff was gone. And then I'm in watching Prometheus the other day, and something hit me. I'm sitting there watching that movie, and I started freaking out again a little bit. I was afraid I might, because sometimes certain concepts catch me at the wrong time, and I start worrying. So I started feeling that panic feeling. And usually I clam up and go, ugh. This time, I actually turned to it, and I faced it. I said, come on, let's do this. Gone. It's almost like, and there's all these theories about why we're here, and life, and all this other stuff. But at that point, it struck me so blatantly obvious that one of the things you're here to do is you're born, you learn about yourself, eventually you're going to fight yourself, and I've been doing this for way too long, and then you're going to master yourself. So it took me probably maybe longer than other people, because I'm stubborn and I want to do things my way in my reality, but I can't. So I had to humble myself by apologizing, and just, it took pretty much, I had to be broken down to almost nothing to be able to come back fiercely strong. And now I've beat that. So anytime if I start panicking, instead of shying away from it, I'm going to face it. I'm going to say, come on. And then it went away, and it's been fine since. So I don't know if that's part of life, is now my body I feel like I'm a 20-year-old. Like, my body feels phenomenal. Physically, ever since all this bad shit's been happening, other than not eating for a few days and losing a couple pounds, my body has felt absolutely amazing. It's fucking weird. My body feels like it's 20. I don't understand. I did a little bit of push-ups, in the morning. I'm cooking breakfast. Before I have my coffee, I do a set of push-ups. My body looks like I've been going to the gym for 2 weeks. Like, I've got a little bit of abs. I don't have phenomenal, bouncy, huge rigs, but you can see the lines. Like, all of a sudden, I've got a little bit of abs. My shoulders are all corded. Like, my arms are never anything to write home about, but my forearms are fucking beat. Like, I don't know what's going on with me. Like, holy shit. It's out of control. So, lately, things have been great. And ever since I had that realization watching Prometheus, that you're going to fight with yourself, and you're here not to master your world or the environment, but to do that, if you want to, you have to master yourself. So you master your own failings. Like, if you're the type of person that, say, if somebody pushes you a little bit, you get all fucking defensive and you take control of yourself and say, okay, I don't understand why this person's doing this, but it's really not going to affect my life. Take a breath, deal with them. By doing that, your body goes, you just dealt with something that you find very hard. And by me facing my panic is the hardest thing. It's like, that's my worst fear, is being that afraid. It's not that I'm afraid of anything, really. Like, I go out in my daily life and I'm whatever. But it's more a fear of a panic attack coming is my worst fear. And when that pang came, I faced it. So by turning and facing my most horrific thing, I solved my problem. My brain finally, you faced what your worst fear is, and by doing so, I'm going to take that away forever. It's stupid how that works. You figure, if this reality, if this life is just a bunch of, science says, okay, we're here, we're a product of evolution, you're going to live, you're going to have kids, you're going to die. Doesn't that strike you as kind of weird that your brain can do that? You know, it's almost like one of those movie-type lessons where the main hero runs and runs and runs and runs and runs, and then eventually says, I can't run anymore, and puts his back against the wall and says, come on. All of a sudden, the thing that was chasing him just dies. And now he's like Neo, and Neo finally died and came back in the first Matrix movie. All of a sudden, Neo's a god. I'm not saying I'm a god, but I'm just saying that kind of struggle. He faces his fear. He faces one of the agents, and that's almost like what I did. I faced my agent, and then I beat it. And just by turning and facing it, not even fighting, not even, having to do one of those Fight Club, fight yourself type scenarios, but just turning to it and saying, okay, I'm ready for you. And the thing crumpled. It's crazy. Like life is not supposed to be so perfectly written and believable. Like all this, it's supposed to be just a bunch of random shit. But sometimes things happen in life that are like that. That you do something you normally wouldn't do, and your body goes, you know what? You just did something that is very hard for you. Bravo! And you don't hear an applause, but it's basically like that. Your body goes, okay, you finally have learned the lesson that I've been trying to teach you. I don't know if our subconscious minds are that powerful. It could very well be. But anyway, now I'm at work, and I feel so good. The girls thing has been crazy because during my panicking phase, during my struggle, almost all women were not attracted to me. I couldn't do anything to pull in a girl. Sometimes I would meet girls, and they were just naturally attracted to me, but it was very rare. And I'm not saying it's because, I'm not a horrifically ugly guy. I'm not beautiful either. I mean, I'm not even the best looking guy in my house. But it doesn't matter what I look like. When I beat my struggle recently, when I really overcame those 2 months and I started feeling better, girls were all over me. I go home once I half beat, like I was at the halfway point until just recently I finally beat it. But when I got to that halfway point, and then that weight went away when I apologized, girls were all over me. I go home to Plenty of Fish. I got 5 messages that day, and I didn't change anything. It's not like I spruced up and said, oh, I'm feeling so good. Didn't change a fucking thing. Had no messages for months. Boom, 5 messages that day. How do girls know through the internet that I'm feeling better? It's almost like they used to look at me and they could just see the fucking struggle on me, and they knew I had issues, and it was not attractive at all. It's just like the most anti-sexy thing ever, and I thought it was just me. Like maybe I'm just not attractive, who knows, But there are guys out there with that one guy who has no arms and no legs, he's got a wife. So how come a guy like me with functioning limbs can't find a girl? But then, yeah, like it's been crazy. Girls have been asking me for dates. I've got, I'm not bragging or anything. I'm just saying this is what it was like before I had my panic disorder. When I was a young kid, I was 6. I had 5 girlfriends. Not in any kind of gross way. It was just girls loved me. I had girls asking me out, and up until I got my first girlfriend and had my heart broken, I had girls that were trying to get me broken up with my girlfriend at the time because they wanted to be with me. I don't know why. It's just one of those questions. If I want a girl, there's no way I can make her come to me. But if I just sit there and mind my own business and do my own thing, they're all over me, and I don't understand why. I don't know if it's, I don't know. Maybe I've always been really confident up until I hit that panicking phase, and then I wasn't confident for 10 years, and now I'm mastering myself. All of a sudden, girls see that, and it's very attractive. Apparently, I don't know. It has nothing to do with my physicality, I know as far as build-wise, I got broad shoulders, I got really big, thick legs, big, round ass on me. I do have the J-Lo male ass. It's all muscle. It's just this great, big, round, probably have the nicest bum of any guy I know. And I check them all out. But anyway, it has nothing to do with anything like that. I went to the gym and got all beefy. That didn't do anything for me. Right now, I'm in okay shape, but it's the confidence. It's that girls can see I fought the fucking impossible fight and I won. And they're totally responding to me, which is cool. And I haven't changed anything in my attitude. I haven't done anything differently other than conquered my worst demons. Whew. So anyway, it's a lot of metaphysical, a lot of weird, a lot of just questions that I'm asking that aren't answered, but I finally have overcome certain barriers that have been holding me back, and hopefully some of you out there, if you're having problems, if I help one person, that makes me feel great. So, tell me, guys, ask yourself some questions, think about your problems, think about what bothers you, and try to figure out how to overcome it, and maybe you can overcome something like me that I've been fighting with for my entire life.